Did you know bagels are boiled before they're baked? Or that the croissant isn't French? Let's talk about 10 bread types you eat all the time, without knowing what actually makes each one different. Bread 1. Baguette. By French law, a traditional baguette can only contain 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and yeast. That law exists because in 1993, France passed the decret pane specifically to stop bakers from using additives and frozen dough shortcuts. Bread 2. Ciabatta. Ciabatta is actually a much newer invention than it looks. It was created in 1982 by an Italian baker specifically to compete with French baguettes taking over the sandwich market. Unlike most bread, the dough is so wet it can't be shaped by hand at all. Bakers have to paw and fold it, which is exactly what creates those huge irregular holes inside. Bread 3. Sandwich bread. Sandwich bread, the soft, square loaf, only exists in that shape because of a machine, not a recipe choice. The rectangular loaf pan was standardized in the 1920s, specifically so automatic slices could handle it uniformly. The dough is enriched with fat and sometimes milk or sugar, which slows staling. That's why it's so soft compared to baguette or ciabatta. Bread 4. Hamburger bun. The Hamburger bun has a specific job: staying intact while soaking up juice and sauce without falling apart. That's why most buns include a small amount of potato flour or milk powder, which traps extra moisture in the dough. The sesame seeds on top were originally used as a visual signal to distinguish bun dough from regular rolls at a glance. Bread 5. Croissant. The croissant isn't French in origin. It evolved from the Austrian Kipferl and only became the flaky version we know today when Austrian bakers brought it to Paris in the 1830s. That flakiness comes from a technique called lamination, folding butter into the dough dozens of times to create hundreds of thin layers, and when it bakes, the steam pushes the layers apart, which is why a good croissant should sound crisp when you bend it. Bread 6. Pretzel. Pretzels get their dark, glossy crust from a quick dip in a lye or baking soda solution before baking, which triggers the browning reaction that gives them their color. The twisted shape has a religious origin too. It's believed to represent alms crossed in prayer from monks in medieval Europe. Bread 7. Brioche. Brioche blurs the line between bread and pastry. It can contain up to 50% butter and eggs relative to the flour, more than almost any other bread on this list. That's what gives it its rich color and tender crumb without any added sugar doing the work. All that fat makes the dough heavy, so it needs extra proofing time and careful temperature control, or it collapses instead of rising. Bread 8. Sourdough. Sourdough doesn't use commercial yeast at all. It relies on a starter culture of wild yeast and bacteria that can be over 100 years old in some bakeries, fed daily like a living ingredient. The bacteria produce lactic acid as they ferment, which is what gives sourdough its tangy flavor and also naturally preserves the bread longer than yeasted bread. Bread 9. Bagel. Bagels are boiled in water, sometimes with malt syrup or baking soda added, before they're baked. That boiling step gelatinizes the starch on the surface, which is exactly what creates the shiny, chewy crust instead of a soft one. Bread 10. Focaccia. Focaccia is one of the oldest breads on this list, dating back to Roman times, and its trademark dimples aren't just decoration. Pressing your fingers into the dough before baking creates pockets that trap olive oil and toppings, so every bite gets seasoned all the way through instead of just on the surface. That's 10 everyday breads decoded. And these were just the ones you already know. Part 2 covers the breads you've probably never even seen. Subscribe so you don't miss it.